All right, we are live. Good morning. We're going to start in about 6 minutes. Yes. Okay, just text him. What is his number? It's a live show. It's part of the live show. What can I do? All right, let's see. This, got it ready. We will start in approximately 10:15. So we will go live with the our guest. He's in the green room waiting. So I'll introduce him very soon. Maybe we could play some music while we're waiting. How about that? Any requests?
In this video, I'm going to create this ebook in just 2 minutes, directly.
You are the word at the beginning, one with God, the Lord Most High. Your hidden glory in creation, now revealed in you are Christ. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. You didn't want heaven without us. So Jesus, you brought heaven.
We will start in about 5 minutes.
My sin was great, your love was greater. Oh, I could separate us now. What a wonderful name it is. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a wonderful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus.
We'll start in about 3 minutes. All right, okay. We'll start in a couple of minutes. I hope you guys like that song. It's one of my favorite. And probably Facebook is gonna block the audio anyway. They're so strict about playing any music whatsoever, so you got to play like a generic. This hair is being stubborn. Okay, there we go. Well, let's go ahead and introduce the my guest. His name is Terrance Stone, and I'm telling you, this guy has an impressive resume. He won over 300 awards. I'm going to name a few. Let me see, most recent Boy Scout America Award. There's one stood out. Black Rose Award, Man of Valor Award, even from the Governor Award, Senator Man of the Year Award, and one is Rosa Parks Wall of Tolerance Award. He has so many of them. If you go to his website, check it out. He's definitely a mover and a shaker. And I saw his stuff, and he went to Cal State LA, and I was like, you know what, you definitely gotta get on my show. And he's done so much, so I'm gonna bring him on the show. I'm gonna ask him some questions like, how did he get there, and so on. So without further ado, please put your hand together for Mr. Terrance Stone.
Hey.
I know I'm the only one is clapping, but believe me, there's a lot of people definitely clapping in their hearts. and I'm one of them.
I appreciate it.
So, Terrance, what made you start this academy? And let me read it out. What the title is: Young Visionaries Youth Leadership Academy. And how long you been doing it, by the way?
I've been since 2001. So we started, and it's been about 19 years, almost 20 years, I think. Maybe in September, it'd be like 20 years.
Wow. What made you want to do it?
Well, we started off as just a gang intervention program. My goal was to work with kids that were in or around gangs, and just try to get them out of those situations so that they can know that they can be successful in life. So in 2001, we started it, and and we were just going out doing gang intervention presentations to kids in schools, kids in group homes, kids at park, wherever I can find a group of kids. That's what we would go talk to.
So, I know, like, if you go back maybe 20 years when you started it, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? It's like, you know what? This is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it. We'll see what happens.
You know what? Like myself, I was second generation gang member, was in gangs. Actually just raised in gangs, but I really just count 15 years because those were 15 violent years of my life. And so coming out of that, I was facing 2 life sentences for a shooting. I was there, but didn't do it this time, basically.
Wow.
So it was just one of those situations where, you're sitting in there, I'm facing double life, plus 25 years of life. And so just one of those conversations with God, to tell the truth. It's like, God, okay, look, you get me out of this one, I ain't gonna mess up no more. and so we did. I got a hung jury, came home, and since then I've been. At first, I was just trying to figure out, like, how do I work with kids and try to just spread this message, and the doors were just opening, basically. I got with some people that showed me how to incorporate and put together a nonprofit organization. I never knew what it was. Actually, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, that's a oxymoron. Why would you have a nonprofit organization, basically? But since then, we since that incident, and since then, that was in like 1999 to 2001, I've been just working on putting it together. And since then, we've been working on it ever since, and just growing every year. It's getting bigger and bigger. That's
awesome. And I'm sure you're changing lives every day. That's why you got so many awards. Is there one life? I know they're all special, but is there like one life that really stuck with you, that kind of like changed you or shaped you? Like, you always bring up that story to inspire others.
No, it's more than one. It's a lot of. We work with so many amazing young people. With my organization, we work with around 5,000 kids a year.
Wow.
So we're in I think 9 school districts right now, in the juvenile facilities, working with youth. And so we have so many like amazing kids with amazing stories. I remember we used to have a youth shelter in the city of San Bernardino, and just some of the kids that have just their stories going into this a youth shelter, being a kid and having to be homeless, and finding these kids and bringing them in the shelter. We had I remember one young lady in particular. She came to the shelter. She got picked up by the police, human trafficking, right? She's like,
Human trafficking?
yeah, she's like 14, 15 years old, a young girl. And they said, look, the police department, they had the number to the shelter. They said, look, we can either take you to jail or to the shelter. And she
Shelter.
chose,
Shelter.
she chose the shelter, and it was just, it was, for one, it was heartbreaking, seeing this young lady at this age. And
How old was she?
She was 14 or 15.
14,
very
okay.
young. She was probably like a freshman in high school. And so working with her, we were able to get her out of state and away from her oppressor or the pimp, so to speak. And then, and that was the only way to really just break her from that, is to send her as far away as possible, basically. So we found a program in another state centered to this program, and she got clean. She was also addicted to meth. She got clean, got her life back on track, and just recently just contacted us and just said, thank you. She very, very, very well. And that was just a great story, because she was just super caught up in her situation.
Wow, that's awesome. I believe we're all beautifully broken, and everybody has their own journey, and they're writing their own chapter in their life. And some, when I used to be a social worker, sometimes people think whatever their chapter they're in right now, that's their entire book.
Yeah.
So I have to remind them, this is just the start. Sometimes we compare chapters with other people. Yeah. You'll see somebody, literally, they're in chapter 12, they already established themselves, and you're literally just starting at chapter 1. No, everybody has their own unique journey, and we'll definitely get there, especially for that young lady, and especially for you.
Oh yeah.
And what was the part of the challenges, as soon as, obviously you're more established now, if you go back 20 years in the first chapter, when you decided, when God gave you a chance, it's all right, I figured this out for you, what are you going to do now? Yeah. What was some of the challenges that some of the other people, they're going through their first chapter right now? Yeah. What would you recommend? How would you inspire them to get through that first chapter? Because that's the toughest chapter.
Yeah, I think you have to have a clear focus.
Okay.
And of where you really want to go, basically. And because we really don't know how to get there, everyone's giving suggestions, and the people that will give you the most suggestions are people that have never been there. That's just terrible.
It's so true. You know how many coronavirus doctors out there right now?
Yeah.
They're not even doctors. Yeah. They're just acting like doctors.
They have all the suggestions.
Yes.
So I think just the one is just sometimes you just have to separate yourself. And I tell people, just separate yourself. My stronghold was gangs. I was one of those guys, I loved my neighborhood, basically. And so I knew that was my stronghold. So I had to separate myself from the guys that I knew that would just bring me back, because they're the first ones that would come over and visit, and hey, I have this to drink for you, I have this to smoke for you, and just accepting you back in. And then next thing you know, you are off your mission, because you turned back to what you shouldn't have been hanging around in the first place, basically. And plus, too, some people say, well, I want to be successful, but I want to help them out too. You have to give, you have to help yourself first, and then you can come back and help other people. So I had to do that. I had to learn to heal and help myself first. And that was just the hardest part, because you're so used to people being around you and just having and just encouraging you, And so you'll get to the point where really no one believed in me until it started working. After it started working, then that's when the awards start coming, and the pats on the back and the accolades, things like that. But everybody just first looked at me like, yeah, you be back and locked up pretty soon. So I had to believe in myself when nobody else believed in me. Just keep going and just fight, through the situation. I think one of the hardest points of the journey was, I was homeless, basically. I was homeless, still trying to run a whole business, homeless. There was no income coming in, a little bit of income coming in. I was actually sleeping on the floor in my office, basically, for almost a year. Nobody knew. I was still, I was taking wash-ups and going to meetings. And during this whole ordeal too, I got an offer to go to the Bahamas and speak. Right.
Wow.
So keep in mind, I'm homeless, sleeping in my office, and they say, "You want to go to the Bahamas and speak?" Yes, I'm going to go to the Bahamas and speak. So, and so I went to Bahamas and did a game presentation with some colleagues of mine, and I think we were out there for like about a week or 2 weeks or whatever. But it was, I remember just being there, and then like every night after we do our presentations and do the conference stuff, we would all get together and just hobnob and have dinner at this restaurant. And I remember sitting there and just looking over the water and just sitting at this restaurant in the Bahamas, like, man, I am like in the Bahamas, young homeless guy in the Bahamas, sitting on this restaurant at the beach, eating steak dinner, right now. And then I just had to just thank God really, because like you never know, where he'll take you or the situations that you'll be in, basically.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you came back from the Bahamas, were you still homeless, or did the situation changed?
Oh no, I was still homeless.
Oh,
I had to go back to the floor. I went back to the little office, and I remember just sleeping on the blow-up bed for a while. But it was either still just believe in myself,
nice,
or go get a job. So
what was the game changer that changed that?
Just funding started coming in, grants, just consistently writing for grants. I tell people that that writing for grants is like filling out, you fill out 10 job applications and hopefully you get one call back. Basically.
If you're lucky, yeah.
Yeah, so the grant process is the same thing. You fill out as many as possible. The best way that you can fill them out, put your best foot forward. And so, and hopefully, out of the 10, 20, that you sent out, hopefully you will get a few of those back. And so we're doing great now.
That's awesome, man. Especially working with the gang members, it's a tough spot because you have somebody that probably came from a broken home, and nobody really cared about their situation, and now all of a sudden you come in trying to care for them. I'm sure you hit some resistance big time.
Oh yeah.
And how did you overcome that? Like when they're pushing back. You're like, you don't care.
Yeah, I think one is the misconception that there's no like love there, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's because if there was zero love or feelings of love or acceptance there, then my job would be super easy. But the thing is that like when they're there, that's their support system. Like, these guys seem to care about them. Homies seem to look out for other homies, make sure that you're fed. You know what I mean? All these things basically. So the misconception is that. So it's not that you're fighting against a broken home. Most of us come from broken homes.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is that you have to show them that there's something better than this. Basically, when I do my presentations, I liken it to like an abusive relationship. And people that are stuck in abusive relationships, a lot of times they only know what they know. So they would stay in that abusive relationships for years.
Because that's all they know.
Because
that's all they know.
And two, you introduce them to something different, basically. And even when you do that, they'll get out of the abusive relationship, get in a healthy relationship, but bring abuse with them because they're used to abuse. So then it's just showing them, okay, this is how you overcome that in a better way of living. This is how you really should react to a situation like this, basically. So the misconception, what most people think that gang members come from broken homes. Not all of them do. That gang members are come from places of non-love. Because when if you sit back and you watch a group of guys that are in gangs, you guys, they're hugging, they enjoy each other's company. Like the guy that they're standing next to, they're willing to die and kill for this person right here. So, but the thing is, so it's not that you tell them like, well, you're gonna die if you stay there. They already know that. You know, that's why they carry weapons, and they're, you know, because they carry weapons to kill and for protection, basically. So they already know that's a conversation that, you know, that's going to go in one ear and out the other. They knew that from day one, that these were some of the risk factors, basically. You know, so the thing is just trying to introduce them to something better, basically. So that's what we try to do. You know, so we don't say, well, you should stop. Like, well, let me introduce you to something. You know, let's try to get you in college. You can still be a gang member and go to college, you know, but it's just
So true.
out of that. Still, you know, we have a free forklift training program. Like, let us hook you up. Let us at least get you certified. So at least you'll have that one certification in forklift, and you can go out and do whatever you want to do, you know, with that, basically. At least to get you off the streets for 8 hours a day.
Man,
so.
that is awesome. And obviously, the system is not perfect. But there's a lot of gaps, and obviously we're working on to improve it. I see the big disconnect. Obviously, if they're teenagers or they're underage, you still have some hope trying to shape them when they become an adult. But the thing is, when they become an adult and they catch a felony, it's hard to get a real job after that, unless you find a job friendly that they're okay with convicted felons. And I think that's a gap, and I don't know how has it changed. Are there more employers are open to that idea?
Well, there's a lot of friendly, felony friendly employees, especially in warehousing and other jobs and things like that. So we try to attach them to those jobs, because that's one of the barriers that they say, well, I have a felony, I can't get a job.
Yeah.
Like, well, you could, you know, we just have to find a person that will hire you. Also, what I've found, Ray, is that like, a lot of these guys are great thinker outside of the boxers. You know what I mean?
You have to survive.
Yeah.
So, you got to do that.
Yeah, so with that, what I tell them, you know, what are you really interested in? You know, and then I just promote entrepreneurism. I'm like, look, like, you have every skill that you need to start your own business, right? Mm-hmm. You just need to change your product, because the drugs is not working for us. So just like, let's change your product, but still don't change your hustle, basically, because all the hustle and drive that you have in here. I sit down and I explain, especially my young guys that are in juvenile facilities, like, all of the energy and brain power that you have to use just to commit crimes all day, basically. Even just watching a house, like, you probably watch a house for 3 days before you burglarize it or something, trying to figure out that person's schedule, trying to, you know, all the other things, you know, what are you, when you go in the house, it's not random. What do you need to take out of the house? Like, all of these things, like, if you use all of this energy into something positive, you can be successful. I went to Cal State, but that was later on. I went to Cal State LA, but that was later on, after my business was already started. I said, everything all of the resources that I used to kind of start Young Visionaries.
What was your major, by the way, Cal State LA?
Actually, I went to Cal State. Let me tell you, it was a guy named Bo Taylor. Okay. Bo Taylor passed away. He had a program in Los Angeles County called Unity One. It's one of the first street gang intervention programs in Los Angeles that I know of. And so Bo, I already had my organization going, and Bo, he was working with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was the coach of USC. Now he's the coach of Seattle Seahawks. So he's working with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll would fund Bo's program, and he did that to send young kids or young guys that are in the streets to college. Right? So Bo came to San Bernardino. He seen me and he seen what I was doing. He said, "Do you want to go to Cal State LA?" I said, "Well, heck yeah, I want to go to Cal State LA." You know, so what it was, there was a course up there. It was to certify you, to give you a state certification in gang intervention and prevention. So I went to Cal State for that course, basically. And I remember driving like almost every day from San Bernardino to Cal State.
Nice. You got to do what you got to do.
School. Yeah, I didn't know I could have took the Metrolink, or I was just on the freeway after I did all that. Then I seen the bus station right there. I could have caught the bus here every day. But so Bo from Unity One paid for me to go to school through Pete Carroll, and so that's what I took. It was a course over there that I graduated from. It was a gang intervention course basically. So a state certified me in that.
Got it. That's awesome. So there is definitely programs out there. If like, believe it or not, like we all need second chances. Just some people get caught up and they catch a felony. I think we all commit crimes, but some people get caught with it.
Get caught, yeah.
That's the only difference. So we all deserve second chances. And the thing is, being an employer, just they think your history equals your future, and that's not true. Every human being is capable to do a crime. They're physically capable, and they can change on a dime. And history does not equal the future. Like every day is a new day, and if a human being got stuck, and the world labels them like, okay, that's it, you're a felon, you can't get a real job. Guess what? You know what? I got to do what I got to do, and there's only one road, and they go back to the old ways.
Yeah.
But with this, I'm glad that there is programs out there that give second chances, and definitely as soon as my company gets bigger, I'll be definitely a felony friendly.
Yeah.
And what's a good political way to say it? Because I don't know. I think it has a bad label to it.
Just felony friendly. I think that's what holds most people back are their felonies. Actually, in California, you can't even put that on the job applications.
No.
So you'll find that out in an interview, and really you can't even ask it. So if it's a job that does background checks, they will find out later on, basically. So and which is great, because at least you get your foot in the door if you're really trying to change your life and it's going in a different direction. But I know a lot of people that had felonies in their past, but they have like great futures right now. They're doing fantastic. Actually, probably over 10 years ago, was a guy, he worked for Smart & Final, and actually he was a regional director, so he ran all of Southern California and Nevada.
Wow.
Smart & Final. And you would never know he was an old school Latino dude, lowrider, back in the days. And he always had suits on, and one day I was sitting talking to him and he just rolled up his sleeve and he's just all just sleeved up basically because of his past. But he said, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I run Southern California and Nevada, with all the Smart & Finals basically, great guy. So you never know basically like who's did what, because don't let your past determine your future. One of these days you have to I feel that a person, like whatever you want to do, like you can make that happen. It's just the effort that you put into it basically. And I try to push that to our young people that you can do whatever you want to do. I'm very transparent as I can be about my background and things that I've been through, so that because they see me a lot of times I'm in suits, and now I love wearing suits. I'm a suit guy. So they see me, but I let them know I've been through the California Youth Authority.
Nice.
At your age, basically, and I went from there and I went to state prison. But I traveled the United States just on speaking engagements. I work with over 45,000 kids, throughout, the United States, and I get international speaking engagements, and I'm cleared, to go into. I go into the federal prisons to speak to the men and the women in there. I'm in the juvenile facilities, 9 school districts, and that's not even counting just the speaking engagements that I get. So I tell them you can do whatever you want to do. We started a business from a backpack. I started Young Visionaries from a backpack was my office, basically. And so I said, now, I was homeless, sleeping on the floor in the office, trying to figure this out. But now we have over $1 million budget, working with young people.
And speaking of suits, I want to show this. Let me see. You just sent me. I just saw it. Let's see. Okay, I want to. All right. What is this? A room full of Vultures
A Room
by
Full of
Terrance
Vultures. Yeah. That's my book I'm working on right now.
Uh-huh.
Roomful of Vultures, and actually it's almost like a self-help type of book too for
Okay.
young people and adults. But it's just like my life and just letting people know that a lot of times you will be in rooms with people that really don't have your best interests at heart, right?
So
So
true.
it's your job to
Especially if they're
survive.
wearing a suit. Especially if they're wearing a suit.
So it's your job to survive and get that, because these people are sitting around waiting for you to be vulnerable, so that they can capitalize and gain off your vulnerabilities and things like that. So that's so you're going to be in a room full of vultures. I don't care if you're in games, you'll end up in a room full of vultures somehow. If you're in politics, you end up in a room full of vultures. If you're in business, you'll end up in a room full of vultures. But it's your job is just to survive, because the vulture, they'll hover forever. If they see you vulnerable, they'll sit there forever. So you just have to, just get through that and be as strong as possible, and come out of it strong on the other end, because they'll leave. If they see you strong and making stuff happen, then they'll eventually leave. But you'll wind up somehow in a room full of vultures.
Okay, well, let's say a person they finished their first chapter of life. Basically, they did everything wrong. Okay, I learned from it. Now I'll open up a new chapter. Okay, I'm in the room of vultures. Okay, let's say hypothetically, what can they do, or what tips would you give them to avoid the vultures? Because it's part of life. Like, everybody wants something from you. Like, it's a give and take. What do you recommend? You're in a room of vultures. How do you survive and get what you want, especially in grant writing or opening a project or opening a business?
I think for one, like, whatever you do, master it. I tell people I'd rather be the king in my domain than average in all of you guys' kingdoms.
So true.
So just master it and just try to gain as much information as possible on just what you do. So because then that adds value to you. It adds value to you and to your conversation and what you're working on, basically. So I tell them, don't try to, like, I'm not all things to all man. I try not to be never. I say, I only know this, and I can tell you whatever information you need to know about this thing, I got it. So I tell them, just try to master whatever trade, whatever job or meeting that you're in, master your information, basically. Because once they see that you don't know what you're talking about, then that just makes you vulnerable just in that one meeting right there. And then there's somebody in there that's going to capitalize on your vulnerabilities. They're gonna use that against you and just try to make you seem even more vulnerable to everyone else. Just because they're trying to make themselves look better, they're going to try to make you look vulnerable, because they have to have someone in that room that they're better than, so that they can feel like their self-worth is up there, basically.
Why do you think they do that, Terrance? Why do you think they do that?
I think it's a lot of reasons. There's probably some therapeutic stuff going on right
now. I have a theory.
What's your theory, Ray?
They're having a life of lack, and so there's a lot of insecurity.
Yeah.
And when somebody trying to make you look bad, you have to be secure of yourself to understand that in reality they're insecure of themselves, and in reality they're making themselves look bad. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing is you have to be sure of yourself to let them do what they want to do. Because sometimes we react, and guess what? Now you're down with the mud with them.
Yeah.
But that's my theory. That's my theory. But I don't know. What's your theory?
You know what? I love your theory. I love it.
But
I think too, but I think most people need a victim, basically. You know what I mean? So and it's just a mentality, basically. Most people just need a victim because of their insecurities. So and they need a victim so that they won't be the target. So just being vulnerable, or just knowing that you're in a room full of vultures, I think it's like, I'm not going to be in this room and be the victim. So because I know somebody in this room needs a victim, basically. So, so I just try to be as knowledgeable as I can on the subjects. And if I don't know the subjects and I'm not knowledgeable on the subjects, I'm just gonna look as neat as I can in the room and put on my best suit and sit there and cross my legs like I'm taking notes, And then the next meeting I go to, I'm gonna study that information. So now I have the knowledge because they gave me this information. I took the information that they gave me and I used that and just went forward. Just try to gain as much knowledge as I can.
What was the craziest meeting you ever had, or the craziest story?
No, I don't know who's watching this. I've had some crazy, and let me tell you, I love meetings. I'm one of those people. People think that I'm funny because I love meetings, but I tell I've been in prison. I remember. Let me tell you this. I remember the first. I think it was probably my first week on a prison yard, and so we're sitting here with our guys that I'm designated to hang out with, basically, and so they were having a meeting, right? The meeting was this guy over some gambling owed another guy like 10 cup of noodles. 10 cup of noodles, right? So the meeting was, he was getting permission to go stab this guy over 10 cup of noodles.
Over noodles?
10 cup of noodles. Like that's probably like $5 at Stater Brothers or something.
Yes.
Not even $5. You can get a case of cup of noodles. But that's even $5. And so I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in the middle of a meeting where this guy is about to go stab this guy for some cup of noodles right now. I'm like, what the heck did I got myself into? I'm like, first week on the yard. And so those are the type of meetings. First they said yeah, then they said no, and then they didn't pay the debt or whatever. So he didn't get stabbed for the cup of noodles. But in my mind, I'm thinking, like, this is the type of crap that I done put myself into, where this guy's gonna go get murdered in front of everybody over some cup of noodles, right? And the guy was gonna do, I can see it in his eyes. He was going to go do it, and so now, when I'm in these meetings right now, and I'm in here, we have these suits on, and I always revert, even if the meeting is super boring, or super crazy, I'll revert back to the cup of noodle meeting. I'm like, nothing can get worse than that. Nothing can get worse than that.
Everything's gonna go up from there, yeah.
And nobody's gonna get stabbed after this meeting. I don't care what we disagree on. You're not getting shanked in the parking lot, basically. So I always revert back to that, even if the meeting is super boring, super long. I'll be like, it's better than that cup of noodle meeting that we've had on New York. But interesting, I've been in some amazing meetings with some amazing people. I get to sit down and I made great friends with congressmen and other elected officials, assemblywomen and men, and so I've been around some great people, law enforcement meetings and things like that, where mayors, where you just sit down and just be able to help to make decisions on our region and things like that. So I can't even complain. Like none of these meetings are worse than my cup of noodle meeting.
Yes.
On a yard. So I always compare all my meetings to that.
Oh man, it's not a similar story. It's not even in the ballpark. When I went in the military, in the Air Force, basic, boot camp, it felt like prison. And for 6 weeks, I mean, you're controlled. No candy, no nothing. You wait 5 hours of sleep. I mean, like the whole every structured. And I was dreaming of one thing after 6 weeks. I just want to eat some candy bars. That's all I wanted. Yeah. So, and the thing is, I was responsible of cleaning the chrome. And if you put in the barracks, there's like 50 people living in there. Somebody's stepping on my chrome, and I'm responsible for it. I was getting yelled at, like, Salem. So I hated it. And before the military, I was like very OCD about cleaning, make sure everything's structured. Yeah. And so after this broke me. Like, I don't care no more. So, but the military helped me a lot. Like, not to worry about the little stuff. Like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot. It's gonna be okay.
My favorite quote, but I always tell my staff, and whoever, if I see them overreacting or just, carrying on, I tell them, don't wreck your car swatting at flies. Like, that's my favorite quote. I think I heard it like from T.D. Jakes or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love T.D. Jakes.
Yeah, he said it like, I've been saying this quote for almost 20 years now. Like, don't wreck your car swatting at flies. So I always remember that when like the little things happen, and so you're trying to, so you're overreacting or overanalyzing the small thing, but you still have this big thing to worry about. And you can like picture that, because I've had a fly in my car while I'm driving, and I'm, swatting at it, and I'm like, and it's probably my mind, don't wreck your car swatting at flies. So I always tell people that, like, calm down, don't wreck your car swatting at flies. Because if you wreck your car, that flies, it's going to fly out the window, be going, and now you have to clean up this whole mess.
Awesome. Well, what's one last tip you would give a young entrepreneur? They're thinking about starting a business, but they're on the fence. What's the one last tip that you would give them?
You know what? I would say do it. Start that business, because this is probably one of the best decisions that God ever gave me. In my life is just starting Young Visionaries, and also get as much knowledge as you can in your business, basically. And also know all of your competitors. I probably know every youth program in my vicinity that in our area that works with kids. I know who they are, what they do, how they do it, and most of the time who they're contracted to do it with, basically. And it's not that I'm competing with them. It's just up to me to know my trade, basically. So I was telling them to learn everything that you can about the trade. I don't care if you're selling socks. Who has the softest socks? Who's selling socks? How much are socks? Where can you buy socks in bulk? At the cheapest rate, and all of these different things. So I would tell them just to learn as much as you can about that trade, and don't work harder for someone else that you wouldn't work for yourself, basically. So everything that you put in to someone else's job, you put that and more into doing your own job and making it happen too.
Awesome. Thank you, Terrance. And I'm going to remember that quote. Don't wreck your car just over swatting flies. All right. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for everybody's listening in. And you guys all have a blessed day, and especially you, Mr. Stone.
Likewise.
Awesome. Have a blessed day, sir.